You know what I realized about this episode? Is that Vertigo does a better job at making people face their fears than the Scarecrow on Gotham did. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, everybody, this is David, and today we are going to be talking about Arrow Season 3, Episode 13, Canaries. And let us begin talking about this episode where, Sarah sort of returns. Basically, a lot of stuff happens in this episode. I know I just, gave something big away, but if you already saw the episode, you already know. And let's get down to this, man. So much shit happened in this episode. Like, I was very happy all the way through, and I was worried about this episode because of not the last episode, but the one before where Laurel was Black Canary and trying to kick ass. And so that had me a little worried, but I'm going to get to Laurel a little bit later. Let us begin with one of the big revelations in this episode, because a lot of people were revealing things in this one. And that has to do with Thea. Oliver, Malcolm decides that Oliver should finally tell Thea his secret. Basically, she's been the only one this entire time that has not known Oliver is the Arrow, and Oliver agrees and decides to bring her into the Arrow cave and show her who he is. And Diggle and some of the other characters are like, are you sure? She might get mad about this. But thankfully, the writers didn't go, that route where she, like, how could you not tell me about this? Blah, blah, blah. She actually embraces Oliver and fully accepts him as the Arrow, because she understands that, yes, he's been saving people this entire time. But she blames Malcolm Merlyn now for stuff that he's done, and for him trying to cause a little wedge between Oliver and her. So that was a little interesting twist, and I'm happy they didn't have Thea blame Oliver for anything, because it didn't make sense to me. Like, why would, ever since Diggle said that little comment like that she might get mad at you for this and never talk to you again, I was like, why? All he did was save people and save his family. And yeah, maybe there's something she might have gotten annoyed by, like she said about the window, him crashing through the window. Other than that, I mean, little things like that, there's nothing really for Thea to be mad at Oliver about. And I'm glad they didn't do that. And I'm glad they have her mad at Merlyn now, because yeah, he deserves the blame, not Oliver. So that was really cool. I really enjoy that stuff for sure. We also got Vertigo back. Vertigo, who we seen in the premiere of this season, Season 3, in the very first episode. I believe it was The Calm. And yeah, he's just, the actor whose name escapes me right now, he's terrific. He's great in everything he's in. If you've seen him, one of the first movies I ever remember seeing him in was The Lost World, Jurassic Park. And every movie he's in, though, and every show he's in, he brings the best. And yeah, it was great seeing him in this episode again, and what he can do. Like I said earlier, he's kind of more like the Scarecrow than the actual. He did more useful things with the hallucinations than the actual Scarecrow on Gotham that did. Which is what I really liked. It was really cool seeing Laurel go head to head with the hallucination of Sarah. That's how Sarah was in the episode, and it was great seeing her again. Which now brings me to Laurel, talking about Laurel's story in this whole episode. And what I really liked about Laurel is that she finally got to realize that she was trying too hard to be her sister when she should have been being herself. I was kind of hoping that would mean, like, put away the costume and just be a lawyer for the rest of your life. That's the way we like you. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth. I actually enjoyed Laurel throughout this entire episode. Not just because she got her ass kicked by Sarah, or a hallucination of Sarah, but just because she actually was learning something, and I hope she keeps to this episode. I really hope this episode really, let's see her grow now from here. I think she's learned something very important, and I want to see her remember this. Don't forget that this episode happened. Don't retrace your steps, and Laurel goes back to being, trying to be something she's not. Let her be herself. I hope that's the writer's way of saying, okay, we're not gonna make her try to be her sister. We're gonna try to actually make her be something a little bit different. And it's good that she got her ass kicked, not because of how annoying the character could be sometimes, but because she shouldn't be at Oliver or Roy or Diggle's league. And I'm glad they played around a lot with that in this episode. I also really finally loved that Laurel told her dad that Sarah was dead. I mean, 13 episodes in, and we're like, Lance is only finding out now. And I gotta admit, that scene got me a little bit teary-eyed. So I'm glad it finally happened. The question is, what is Lance going to do now? Is he just going to, grieve about this throughout the rest of the series? Or is he going to eventually, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let Laurel do her thing. And I don't think he will. I think Lance is going to try to stop Laurel from being the new Black Canary, just like Oliver was trying to stop her in this episode. So I think we're not done with Laurel, people trying to stop Laurel from doing what she's doing. And I don't think we're gonna stop seeing her get thrown around like she was in this episode. I think we are gonna see some serious consequences down the line for Laurel. And we're gonna see still Oliver and Lance not being very happy about this. Also, in today's episode, we saw that there was a lot of friction within Team Arrow. There's a lot of, Team Arrow had grown a little bit in Oliver's absence, and they, kind of can do things without it. They don't need his consent anymore. They're like, look, when you were around, we looked to you. But now we make our own decisions, and I like that. I think they all should make their own decisions and grow as their own individual characters. But Oliver should remain team leader, and it seems like he still calls the shots, sort of, but not really. Sometimes there's some, conversations where, like when Roy stood up for Thea against Oliver, or when Felicity was calling some of the shots. These are some of the things that, some of the characters are starting to take up a little bit more and becoming a little bit more. The characters sort of, if you think about it, became more stronger in his absence. Even though, let's face it, all the characters work even better when Oliver is around. So maybe that's another reason why I really love this episode. One last thing, we obviously found out that Thea's new boyfriend, well, we already knew this from 2 episodes ago, I believe, where Thea's new boyfriend was an assassin. But now Thea found out, and thankfully he is out of the way, killed, and defeated. Because I don't know why, but I did not like this guy from the get-go. I'm like, who's this Hanson brother coming out of nowhere trying to get into Thea? And he actually got to bang Thea, it looks like, in this episode. He allowed that to happen. It's funny because yesterday Barry was trying to get laid, and Barry got nothing. But I guess it's easier for women, so I don't know. Other than that, guys, I'm going to say this was a solid episode. I really loved it. It wasn't the greatest, but it was almost great. I was almost going to give this a 9 out of 10, but I'm going to give this an 8. I felt one thing... This is not the thing that really drags down the episode, but I just remembered it now. One thing that I thought was kind of cringeworthy was when Laurel was beating Count Vertigo at the very end there. I felt that was a little bit forced. But other than that, everything else in the episode had me at the edge of my couch, like, wondering what's gonna happen next, man. I was really excited about this episode and thought it was really well done. Yeah, it's probably one of the best that I've seen since the return of the series, since its mid-season finale. Probably the best episode since then. So, yeah, that's it. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I think I already said that. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it. So, guys, next week's episode is called The Return. Who is returning? I think some of us know. Although the producers have hinted that next week's return isn't who we think it is. So whatever that means, we're going to find out next week, but I can't wait to find out. I think this is proof that Arrow is still on track despite the fact that Laurel has become Black Canary. Maybe this eases me a little bit more confident for Laurel becoming this character. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Let's get through this, man. I'm very excited. So until next week, take care.